Hi, my name is Melissa van Dijk and I'm a makeup artist, and in this video I'm going to show you 4 beautiful everyday eye makeup looks which I'm going to create with the Zoeva Naturally Yours eyeshadow palette. And as the name it already says, it is a very natural palette. I mean, if beige and brown tones are your vibe, then you're going to love this palette, as it includes some matte shadows as well as some shimmery shadows, and some of the shadows do also shift in the different lights. So for example, from a lighter shade to more of a rosy shade, so that you have also a variety on the looks that you can create. And so I prepared for you 4 different looks. I'm also going to stick with only shimmers, with only mattes, with combining the mattes with the shimmers, so that they're also suitable for an everyday application. And I'm going to start off with the first eye makeup look, and we're going to dig into the very lightest shade on the top, and this one you can use a blending brush for it or your finger, and you're going to apply it all over the entire eyelid area to prepare the eyelid base. And so once you have applied the white shadow all over the entire eyelid area, we now can move on to step number 2, which is also applying the brownish tone, which is still a matte shadow, and it looks a little bit darker in the pan than it actually is if you're going to apply it, as it is a very soft brown, which I do love a lot. And this one we are going to use over the entire eyelid area up to the crease, and then start blending the edges away. And if you like to, you can also blend it up a bit higher so that it's still visible if you're opening the eye. And I'm going to stick with the same blending brush. And so once you have applied it on the main lid area and you blended it as far up as it's suitable also for your eye shape, then also keep in mind that if you're going to create a look like this where you use basically 2 matte shadows and combine them together so that blending is a little bit easier, then you could also use a flat eyeshadow or your finger for it to apply it on the main lid area and then use the blending brush to blend out the edges. But if you want to keep it a little bit softer, a little bit more smokier, and also kind of a little bit more faded, if this is your jam, then a blending brush and applying it over the entire eyelid area is such a great combination, because it won't be as strong as if you're going to use your finger or flat eyeshadow brush. And now basically, with that being said, and you have applied it on the main lid area, you're happy with the result, the only thing that's missing is a little bit of mascara. Now for the second everyday eye makeup look, we're going to use a bit of a crease shade as well as some shimmer, starting off with the same brown shadow that I used earlier, and I'm also going to use a crease brush for it, blending it through the crease as well as connecting it with the outer V, so that we have also a little bit more darkness towards the outer corner. And so once you have applied this shade through the crease and the outer V, we now can move on to the next step, which is applying the shimmer on the main lid area. And I'm also going to use my finger for it, and if needed, I'm also going to go back with the crease brush and blend those two together. Now the shimmer that I'm going to pick is one of the like shifting shadows that is looks rosy in the pan, but then if it hits the light, then it's going to shift into more a cool toned golden shadow, which also also gives you such a beautiful finish because depending on how the light hits your eyes, you have basically two shadows on the main lid area. And I just love the combination of it because it still looks very natural, even though it is a shimmer like eyeshadow. And so I'm going to use the finger, press on it on top, and then blending it. And once you have applied this shimmery shadow, which is so gorgeous, on the main lid area and blended it also a little bit towards the crease shadow, then this is already the look, and this is already the finished look that you can wear on an everyday base and still look gorgeous with those two shadows. Now for the third everyday eye makeup look, we're also going to use a crease shadow as well as a shimmery shade on the main lid area. The difference is that I'm going to start differently, as if you're having something in your mind or you have one specific shadow that you really want to use, then start off with that one and then from there on move on and see what comes to your mind to create an eye makeup look. And so for this one, I'm going to start off with the Casual Elegance, which is a beautiful shimmery shadow, and this one stays like the same shadow, so it doesn't shift into a different color. And I'm going to focus this one towards the main lid area as well as until I'm reaching the crease. And so once you have applied this shadow on the main lid area, we now can move on through the crease and outer corner. And instead of just using one shadow, I want to create a little bit more of a softer shadow so that I can emphasize a little bit more a shadow through the crease rather than having an actual color. And this is also especially for people who have hooded eyes, and if you want to create a shadow so that your hood won't look as obvious anymore, then using softer colors or mix two colors into each other so that you can create a little bit more of a shadow but not too much of color, then this is also a great way how you can do it so that the main focus stays on the shimmer. And so I'm going to dig into two shadows, the one right here on the top, which is a very light beige brownish tone, and the brown tone from earlier. I'm going to mix those two and just slightly start off building a shadow. And for that, I'm also going to use a crease brush and later on also a blending brush to make sure that the edges are blended. And so once you created the soft shadow towards the hooded area, especially if you have hooded eyes, then it can give you a beautiful and natural lift. Make sure that the colors aren't too strong and that you're going to create a fake shadow rather than having an obvious color towards the crease area and also above. And it depends always on your eye shape, but for hooded eyes, we want to keep the focus towards the main lid shadow, which is the shimmery shadow. So So if you're going to create a fake shadow, this just can give you a beautiful finish, and it can lift this area, because if you have hooded eyes, the reason why it emphasizes the hooded area so much is because this is like the highlighting point of your eyes. And so if you're going to reduce the highlighting area, then the hooded area will be less obvious, and you have a little bit more focus towards the eye makeup look that you created. And this is also what we want. Now, with that being said, this is already the finished look. If you like to, you can also add mascara, and then there you have it. And for the final look, I'm going to combine the shadows that I've just used for the previous eye makeup looks, as well as going to add a little bit more of a darker shimmery shadow towards the outer corner, which also brings me to the first step. And I'm also going to use a crease brush for it, as well as digging into this shadow right here, which is still into the like daylight section, but it is a little bit darker so that we can emphasize the outer corner very well. And yes, you can also use shimmer towards the outer corner. It doesn't always have to be matte. And you can also blend it up to the crease, and if you like to, you can also blend it a bit higher, but not too much, because later on we're also going to blend those edges. Otherwise, you can end up with having like the eyeshadow going too high, and you can't really reduce the amount of shadow you have applied. And you will see by the end of the look what I'm talking about. And so once you have applied the first shimmer shade towards the outer corner and you're happy on how you blended it, make sure that you're not going to take it too far up. Then we can move on to the next step, which is applying the shimmery shadow that shifts from a very like a lighter gold into a rosy shade. And this one way I'm going to use on the main lid area, blending it towards the darker shadow as well. And I'm also going to use my finger for it. And so once you have applied this shadow on the main lid area and you focus it towards the midsection, we now can move on to the next step, which is applying the lighter shimmer shade which we used earlier towards the inner corner, but still on the main lid area. And you can use a brush for it if you like to and you can't reach the inner corner, or you can also use your finger. That's totally up to you. And I'm going to dig into this shadow right here, starting off with my finger, and then I might take also the brush. And so once you focus the lighter shade towards the inner section as well, then we can move on to blending. And I'm also going to use the blending brush that I used earlier, as well as digging into the very light shadow, the one that we earlier used to mix with the brown shadow, because it will give us a very soft blend, and it also can mattify certain areas so that you can even it out while blending the corners and the edges away. And so once you blended the edges away and you adjust the shadow so that it looks on both sides the same, as this can be a little bit tricky with shimmers towards the outer corner, as the reflection of the light will be a bit trickier to identify if they are on the same level, then you are good to go. This is already the final look and the last everyday eye makeup look. And I also do hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it, as this is an independent channel. Thank you so much for watching and your support, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye!